Song for a Whale, Chapter 23. Grandma said not to worry about my money in the bank. Save it for something else. This is my treat. Instead of flying into the closest airport and trying to drive 3 hours, possibly through snow and ice, Grandma's plan was to get on a cruise ship that would take us right to Appleton. We found just one ship with an available cabin and an Appleton stop, and we'd have to leave earlier than planned. How will we do it? I asked. Like, when it's time to leave, what will I tell Mom? Grandma sat back to think, then picked up the activities calendar from her coffee table. We can't tell her what we're doing exactly. Right. There's no way she'd let us go. Not while I still have school, anyway. Or ever. Grandma pointed to her calendar on the date we needed to leave. Look, there's a day trip to Surfside Beach. I'll tell your mom I'd like you to join me. It'd be good for us. Think she'll say yes? I couldn't believe we were actually planning this. It didn't seem real yet. More like a game, a really fun game. Grandma shrugged. I'll talk her into it. We'll be with a group of people, and she knows how much I love the ocean. We'll be telling the truth about going to the beach, anyway. We won't mention yet that we're going to one a little farther away. A little? She looked back at the computer screen and clicked Book My Cruise. Just 4,000 miles. No big deal. I smiled as I signed. Serious trouble. We are both going to be in serious trouble. Worth it, Grandma signed. I couldn't leave without saying goodbye to Wendell. When I messaged to ask if he could come over, he wrote back, not unless you have a better telescope than I do. Come check out Jupiter. Mr. Jackson let me in the front door and pointed upstairs. Great view up there. From the upstairs game room, I stepped out onto the balcony and sat down next to Wendell. He didn't take his eye from the telescope until I touched his shoulder. I reached down and clicked on Wendell's flashlight. He painted the lens red so that the light wouldn't wash out the night sky and make the stars harder to see. After the visit to the junior high, I wondered every day what Wendell was doing at his own school. Maybe he was learning the same things I was, but from a deaf teacher, or he was signing with a bunch of his friends at lunch or joking with another student he passed in the hallway. If I were with them every day, I could be a part of that. Even if we did sign a little differently, I'd sign more like the other kids after hanging around them more. I shook the wish out of my head and tried to refocus. Changing schools would be impossible now. Mom wouldn't let me out of her sight again after she found out I took off to Alaska with Grandma. I still couldn't believe Mom had said yes to the trip. I'd watched from upstairs when Grandma came over to talk to Mom about it. She kept a straight face the whole time and didn't give anything away. She really was a good actor. Before she left, she got Mom to sign a permission slip. I held my breath as I backed into my room so Mom wouldn't hear me exhale. It felt like a loud sigh of relief I was holding in. I looked up at the sky and asked Wendell, which one is Jupiter? See that one that looks like a really bright star? Yeah. But see how it doesn't twinkle like the stars? I hadn't noticed it before. What looked like a bright star was a solid light, not flickering like the others. If you see one like that, he continued, it's a planet. They're a lot closer than the stars. It's all the atmosphere the star's light has to travel through that makes them look twinkly. I looked through the telescope at the planet. That's awesome. He pointed out the moons surrounding Jupiter. There's Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. It has a bunch more, but those are the ones that we can see. While he took another turn, looking through the telescope, I sat back and thought about what to tell him. I touched his shoulder again, so he'd look at me. I have some news. about that whale, Blue 55. I'm going to meet him after all. I'll try anyway. Wow, really? That's great. Your parents changed their minds about going? Well, no. They don't know about this. You're going by yourself? With Grandma. She figured out a way we could get there if Blue 55 shows up at the sanctuary. I'll be there to see him. Wendell looked away and shook his head like he couldn't believe what I was telling him. I hardly believed it myself. It didn't seem real yet. And then what? He asked. Well, what do you mean? I mean, after you find the whale, what will you do then? I'm not sure. But I think the song will let him know he's not alone. And I want to be there for that. Wendell didn't say anything for a while. He just stared at the sky. Maybe I'd made a huge mistake and he was going to tell his parents, and they would tell my parents. Mom would put a stop to the trip before it started. He looked through the telescope again, then asked, Did you know there used to be another giant planet? Another one? Yeah, in addition to Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, there was a giant planet, fifth giant gas planet out there. Well, what happened? Jupiter knocked it out of orbit. One day it got too close, and Jupiter sent it hurtling out of the solar system. I looked up at the sky. Really rude, Jupiter. Then I asked Wendell, So where is it now? No one knows. Maybe another star pulled it into a new orbit, and it's in that solar system now. Maybe it even has its own moons circling it. Or it's still out there on its own, flying past everything on the same path Jupiter knocked it into. He shrugged and looked away. I know this is dumb, but sometimes I wonder about that planet. If I had a way of finding it, I'd go. He hugged me then. I couldn't remember the last time we hugged, if ever. Maybe when we were little kids. I wanted to tell him that it wasn't a dumb idea at all. But to do that, I'd have to let go of him. Wendell stepped back so I could see him again. Good luck. Let me know when you find your whale.